Bacon believed that reading isn't just about collecting facts or passing exam. He thought reading helps shape the mind. When students read for pleasure, novels, poems, comics, or even fantasy, they're not just being entertained, they're expanding their imagination, learning new perspective, and developing empathy by seeing the world through someone else's eye. In today's school system, reading is often treated like a task. Finish the chapter, answer the question, study for the test. Bacon would argue that this kind of reading is incomplete. He believes the wisdom comes from how we read, not just what we read. When students choose books they enjoy, they're more likely to think deeply, make connections, and actually remember what they have to read. Finally, Bacon believed learning should improve life, not feel like a burden. When students read for pleasure, reading becomes a habit rather than a chore. This builds lifelong learners, people who read not because they have to, but because they want to understand more about the world and themselves. So Bacon's idea of learning and wisdom reminds us that reading for pleasure isn't waste for time. It's one of the most powerful ways students can grow intellectually, emotionally, and creatively, both in school and beyond.
True knowledge from reading requires balance. It must be grounded in reality and applied to life. From the advancement of learning, knowledge is power. This famous maxim captures Bacon's belief that reading for knowledge is not an end in itself, but a means to understand and shape the world. He argues that all knowledge should be pursued with care and integrity, as the inquiry of truth, which is the love making of or wooing of it, the knowledge of truth, which is the presence of it, and the belief of truth, which is enjoying of it. It is the sovereign good of human nature. He emphasizes that knowledge gained through reading must be tested and refined. Reading makes a full man, but meditation makes a profound man. The discipline of connecting what we read to our own observation and reflection is what transforms information into genuine knowledge. Bacon, Bacon's work reminds us that reading for knowledge is a deliberate, active pursuit, one that enriches both our minds and our ability to contribute to the world around us. Would you Studies serve for delight, for ornament, and for ability. In school, this comes alive every day. Delight. When you lose yourself in a novel during free reading time or discover a fascinating fact in science class. Ornament. When you use what you have read to contribute thoughtfully to group discussion or craft a well-written essay. Ability. When you apply history lessons to understand current events or use math concepts to solve real-world problems. Bacon wrote, histories make men wise, poets witty, the mathematics subtle, natural philosophy deep, moral grave, logic and rhetoric able to contend. In school, each subject is a building block for your mind. History and social studies teach you to learn from the past and make sense of society. Literature and languages sharpen your creativity and communication. Math and science develop precision and critical thinking. Values education help you build good judgment and character. He warned against extremes. To spend too much time in studies is a lot. To use them too much for ornament is affectation. To make judgment wholly by the rules is the humor of a scholar. In school, this means finding balance, studying hard, but also joining clubs, playing sport, and applying what you learn in practical ways. When you cram only for tests without understanding or show off facts without truly grasping.
Discipline in Thought and Life from Francis Bacon from Off Studies. Read not to contradict and confute, nor to believe and take for granted, nor to find talk and discourse, but to weigh and consider. This is the first discipline of the mind, to approach knowledge not with bias or haste, but with deliberate judgment. Bacon teaches that discipline lies not just in reading, but how we read. As Bacon said, some books are to be tasted, others to be swallowed, and few to be chewed and digested. This discerns which approach suits each text is to practice intellectual self-control. From Off Customs and Education. Custom is the principal magistrate of man's life. Bacon argues that discipline is forged in habit, and the best time to cultivate it is in youth. When the mind is most malleable, education itself is a form of discipline. It trains us to align our actions with reason, not just inclination. He warns that without conscious effort to build good customs, we are governed by unthinking habits, and the most effectual means are not applied to the end at least to be desired. From Great Inspiration. The unassisted hand and the understanding left to itself possesses but a little power. Bacon visions of scientific discipline demands rigor and method. He rejects untested speculations, advocating instead of gradual inductive approach to truth, one that submits to the evidence of nature rather than imposing our own assumption. This is discipline in its highest form, the willingness to set aside personal bias and following where reason leads. Bacon's views of discipline is holistic. It shapes how we think, how we act, and how we engage with the world. It is not about harsh restriction, but about cultivating order and purpose in both mind and life. He adds, reading makes a full man, conference a ready man, and writing an exact man. Writing above all, disciplines thought. It compels us to clarify our ideas, organize our reasoning, and hold ourselves to precision. Just as exercise strengthens the body, every defect of the mind may have special receipt and assured remedy. In targeted study, if concentration fails, study mathematics. If this discernment is lacking, read philosophical treatise. In conclusion, Bacon's idea, reading for discipline, is highly applicable to the school's environment. By embracing this approach, students can enhance their academic performance, develop critical thinking skills, and build discipline needed to succeed both in school and in life.